What if I told you the most powerful fertilizer in the world is completely free? What if it could not only double your harvest, but also bring plants back from the very brink of death? You've probably seen them. Those sad, yellowing plants you've almost given up on. We're often told the solution lies in an expensive bottle from the garden center, but that's a myth. Today, I'm going to show you how to create a microbial super liquid for $0. This isn't just a fertilizer. It's life in a bottle. It's the secret that turns desperate gardeners into proud ones. Stay with me, and I promise you will never look at your garden soil the same way again. We are about to unlock the hidden power that's been right under our feet all along. Before we start brewing, we need to understand who we're brewing for. The real heroes of your garden aren't you or me. They are the trillions of invisible microorganisms living in the soil. Think of your garden soil not as dirt, but as a bustling city. In this city, you have beneficial bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and countless other tiny life forms. This is called the soil food web. For thousands of years, this microscopic community has worked in perfect harmony with plants. The microbes break down organic matter into simple nutrients that plants can easily absorb. In return, plants release sugars through their roots to feed the microbes. It's the most ancient and perfect partnership on Earth. But modern gardening practices, like tilling and using chemical fertilizers, can destroy this city, leaving your soil sterile and lifeless. When we create our microbial liquid, we are not just feeding the plant, we are rebuilding the city. So let's talk about the problem with so many modern gardens. The soil has become a sterile medium. It's treated like a simple anchor to hold plants up, while we pour on synthetic water-soluble nutrients. This is like feeding a person a diet of only intravenous sugar drips. They might survive for a while, but they won't be healthy. They will be weak and highly susceptible to disease. The same is true for your plants. When the soil life is gone, plants become dependent on our constant intervention. They lose their natural ability to fight off pests and diseases. The natural nutrient cycle is broken. This means you have to work harder, spend more money, and constantly battle problems. Our goal is to break this cycle. We want to bring the life back, to restore the natural system where the soil itself takes care of the plants. This microbial liquid is our first and most powerful step in that direction. It's an army of helpers we're about to recruit for our garden. What exactly is this microbial liquid we keep talking about? The technical term is a microbial inoculant, or sometimes it's compared to a compost tea. But let's break that down into simple terms. An inoculant is just a fancy word for a starter culture. Just like you use a sourdough starter to make bread, we are using a starter culture of beneficial microbes to bring life to our soil. We are taking a small, concentrated population of the good guys and giving them the perfect environment to multiply into the billions or even trillions. This brew becomes a dense, living liquid full of the exact bacteria and fungi that plants need. When you pour this on your soil, you are repopulating that underground city. You're introducing a diverse and powerful workforce that will immediately get to work, unlocking nutrients that were already in your soil, but were unavailable to your plants. It's not magic, it's biology. And the best part is, the most effective microbes are the ones native to your own environment. You might be wondering, why not just buy a bottle of this stuff from the store? There are plenty of products that promise beneficial microbes, and some of them are good. But there are two huge reasons why our homemade version is far superior. First is the cost, which is zero. But more importantly, it's about location. The microbes that will perform best in your garden are the ones that are already adapted to your specific climate, your specific soil type, and your local environment. They are the native population. Store-bought microbes are like foreign tourists. They might do some good work for a little while, but many will struggle to adapt and will eventually die off. When we gather materials from our own backyard or a nearby healthy forest, we are cultivating the local battle-tested champions. These are the microbes that know how to thrive right where you are. This creates a more resilient, permanent, and effective community in your soil. Our recipe for this microbial liquid has 3 simple parts. Let's start with ingredient number 1, a carbon source. This is the food. Just like us, microbes need energy to live and reproduce, and their favorite food is simple sugars. We need to provide them with a readily available source of carbohydrates. Now, you have many options here, and most of them are probably already in your kitchen. The most common and effective choice is unsulfured molasses. Just a tablespoon or 2 per gallon of water is plenty. The sulfur in sulfured molasses can harm some microbes, so be sure to check the label. If you don't have molasses, don't worry. You could also use simple white sugar, brown sugar, or even maple syrup. The goal is just to give them an easy-to-digest energy boost that will kickstart their population explosion. This is the fuel for our microbial engine. Next up is ingredient number 2, and it's the most important one, the microbial source. This is where we find our army of helpers. We need a source of diverse, living, and healthy microorganisms. And the best place to find this is in nature's own perfect soil. I want you to go to the healthiest looking natural area you can find. This could be an old forest, a thriving meadow, or even just a corner of your own yard that has been left undisturbed for years. You are looking for leaf mold or forest duff. Scrape away the top layer of dry leaves. Underneath, you will find a dark, crumbly, rich-smelling layer of partially decomposed organic matter. It should smell earthy and sweet, like a forest after it rains. This material is teeming with billions of native beneficial fungi and bacteria. You only need a handful or 2. This small amount contains all the genetic diversity we need to start our brew. It is the living seed from which our entire microbial population will grow. The final ingredient is ingredient number 3, the water, which acts as the carrier and catalyst. But not just any water will do. Most of us have tap water that contains chlorine or chloramine. These chemicals are added to kill bacteria in our drinking water, which is great for our health but terrible for our microbial brew. It will kill the very organisms we are trying to cultivate. So you must use dechlorinated water. The easiest way to do this is to simply fill a bucket with tap water and leave it sitting out in the sun for 24 to 48 hours. The chlorine will naturally evaporate into the air. If your water supplier uses chloramine, which does not evaporate, you can neutralize it with a small pinch of ascorbic acid, which is just vitamin C powder, or by using a simple carbon water filter. Using clean, non-chlorinated water is a non-negotiable step for success. It provides the safe home where our microbes can thrive and multiply. let's get practical and gather our materials. You'll see how incredibly simple this is. You will need a 5-gallon bucket. Any clean bucket will do. You will also need your handful of healthy forest soil or leaf mold, which is our microbial inoculant. You'll need your sugar source, like 1 or 2 tablespoons of unsulfured molasses. And finally, you'll need your non-chlorinated water, enough to fill the bucket, about 3/4 full. I also highly recommend getting a paint strainer bag or an old pillowcase. This is not strictly necessary, but it will make your life much easier. We will place our forest soil inside this bag. This will allow all the microbes to escape into the water, but it will keep the solid material contained, so you don't clog up your watering can or sprayer later. That's it. A bucket, water, sugar, and a scoop of good dirt. You now have everything you need to brew gallons of the best garden amendment money can't buy. Now for the fun part, the brewing process itself. We're going to start what's called an anaerobic or low-oxygen brew. This method favors the proliferation of fermenting bacteria like lactobacillus, which are incredibly beneficial for soil health and plant immunity. First, fill your 5-gallon bucket about 3/4 full with your dechlorinated water. Next, add your 1 to 2 tablespoons of unsulfured molasses and stir it in thoroughly until it's completely dissolved. This creates the sugary soup that will feed our microbes. Now take your handful of forest soil and place it inside your paint strainer bag or pillowcase. Cinch the top of the bag closed. Submerge the bag in the molasses water, letting it hang in the middle of the bucket like a giant tea bag. You can tie it to a stick laid across the top of the bucket to keep it from sinking to the bottom. Finally, cover the bucket. You don't want an airtight seal. Just lay a lid or a piece of wood on top to keep debris out, but allow gases to escape. Now let's talk about why we are choosing this simple, low-oxygen method. You may have heard of actively aerated compost tea, where you use an aquarium pump to bubble air through the mixture. That is a great method that cultivates aerobic or oxygen-loving microbes. It's very effective, but requires more equipment and electricity. Our method, a passive fermentation, cultivates a different but equally powerful team of microbes, specifically anaerobic and facultative anaerobic bacteria. These are the microbes that excel at breaking down organic matter, fighting off soil-borne pathogens, and making minerals soluble for plant uptake. This fermentation process is also more forgiving. It is less likely to grow harmful bacteria if you let it go for too long. For the lazy or smart gardener, this is a simple, powerful, set it and forget it technique. We are letting nature do the work for us, which is always the best approach. How do you know when your brew is ready? You're going to use your senses, primarily your sense of smell. Place your bucket in a warm, shady spot. The speed of the fermentation will depend on the temperature. In warm weather, it could be ready in as little as 24 to 48 hours. In cooler weather, it might take 3 to 5 days. After about a day, you should start to see some gentle bubbling on the surface. You can give the bucket a gentle swirl once a day to help distribute everything. The most important indicator is the smell. A healthy finished brew should have a sweet, slightly yeasty or vinegary fermentation smell. It should smell pleasant and earthy. If it smells foul, putrid, or like sewage, something has gone wrong. That means harmful bacteria have taken over, and you should discard the batch and start again. But if you use good source material and clean equipment, you will almost always get that sweet smell of success. Let's cover a few common mistakes to ensure your brew is a success every single time. The biggest mistake, as we've mentioned, is using a chlorinated water. It's the number one reason a brew will fail. Always let your water sit out or use a filter. The second mistake is using too much sugar. It might seem like more food is better, but adding too much molasses can actually lead to an alcoholic fermentation, which can be harmful to some of the microbes we want. 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon is the sweet spot. Another mistake is sealing the bucket airtight. Fermentation produces carbon dioxide gas. If that gas can't escape, pressure will build up and you could have a messy explosion. Just rest the lid on top. Finally, don't use poor quality inoculant. If you grab soil from a dead, sterile part of your yard, you're just cultivating more of the same. Find that rich, dark, sweet-smelling life from a healthy ecosystem. Your results are only as good as your starting ingredients. Once your brew has that sweet, fermented smell, it's ready to use, and it should be used within a day or two, while the microbial population is at its peak. The first and most important application method is a soil drench. We want to get this living liquid right to the root zone of our plants. First, you'll need to dilute your brew. A good starting ratio is 1 part microbial liquid to 10 parts non-chlorinated water. So for every 1 cup of your brew, you'll add 10 cups of water. You can be more generous if you like. You can't really overdo it. Once diluted, simply pour it into your watering can and apply it generously to the soil around the base of your plants. Water the entire root zone, from the stem out to the drip line. The goal is to saturate the soil, delivering that army of microbes directly to where the plant's roots can interact with them. This is the most effective way to improve soil structure, unlock nutrients, and build long-term fertility. The second application method is a foliar spray. This means spraying the diluted liquid directly onto the leaves of your plants. This has a different but equally powerful set of benefits. The surfaces of leaves, just like the soil, have a microbiome. This is called the phyllosphere. A healthy population of beneficial microbes on the leaves can create a protective barrier, making it much harder for fungal diseases like powdery mildew or blight to take hold. They essentially outcompete the bad guys for space. For a foliar spray, you'll want to dilute the brew a bit more, perhaps 1 part brew to 20 parts water, and you must strain it very well to avoid clogging your sprayer nozzle. This is where using that paint strainer bag during brewing really pays off. The best time to apply a foliar spray is in the early morning or evening when the sun is not intense, to avoid any potential for leaf burn and to give the microbes time to establish themselves before they dry out. So, how does this liquid actually revive a dying plant? Let's look at the science in a simple way. A struggling plant is often starving, even if it's sitting in fertile soil. This is because the nutrients in the soil are in a complex form that the plant's roots cannot absorb directly. The plant needs the microbes to act as tiny chefs. The bacteria and fungi in our brew are experts at breaking down these complex minerals and organic matter. They digest them and then release them in a simple, bioavailable form right at the plant's root hairs. It's like a food delivery service. Furthermore, many of these microbes produce plant growth hormones. These hormones stimulate the plant to grow more roots. More roots mean more access to water and nutrients. So, when you apply this liquid, you are kick-starting this entire system. You're delivering the chefs and the growth stimulants all at once. The plant gets an immediate nutrient boost and the ability to build a bigger root system to feed itself in the future. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a tomato plant in a pot. Its leaves are yellow and drooping. It hasn't produced a new leaf in weeks. It looks completely hopeless. You've tried a standard fertilizer, but nothing has changed. This plant is a perfect candidate. You brew a batch of our microbial liquid, you dilute it, and give the soil a thorough drenching. For the first 2 days, nothing seems to happen. But underground, a war is being won. The beneficial microbes are outcompeting any root pathogens. They are unlocking phosphorus and nitrogen that were locked up in the potting soil. By day 3, you notice the slightest hint of green returning to the base of the leaves. By day 5, a tiny new leaf shoot appears at the top of the plant. A week later, that shoot has unfurled, and the plant's color has deepened. You've given it another drench. Within 2 weeks, the plant is pushing out vigorous new growth. You didn't give it food. You gave it a digestive system. You brought the soil back to life, and the living soil saved the plant. This liquid isn't just for sick plants. It is a powerful tool for supercharging the growth and yield of your already healthy plants. Think of it as a probiotic for your garden. Applying it regularly to your vegetable beds will ensure that the soil food web is always active and thriving. This means your plants will have a constant, steady supply of all the micro and macronutrients they need exactly when they need them. This leads to stronger cell walls, which makes plants more resistant to piercing, sucking insects. It leads to better flower and fruit set. It leads to produce that is more nutrient-dense and has a better flavor. You will notice your carrots are sweeter, your tomatoes are richer, and your lettuce is crisper. This is because the plants are truly healthy from the inside out, not just artificially propped up with chemical salts. You are moving from a system of plant feeding to a system of soil feeding, and the results will be an abundance you can truly taste. Don't limit the use of this amazing liquid to just your annual vegetable garden. It is incredibly beneficial for all the perennial plants in your landscape, especially your fruit trees and berry bushes. These long-lived plants rely heavily on a permanent and complex fungal network in the soil, known as the mycorrhizal network. Our homemade brew, especially when made with a fungal-rich source like forest soil, helps to support and expand this network. A strong fungal network can extend a tree's root system by hundreds of times, allowing it to access water and nutrients from a much larger area. This leads to better drought resistance, healthier growth, and, of course, much larger fruit harvests. A generous soil drench around the drip line of your apple trees, blueberry bushes, and grapevines once or twice a season can make a remarkable difference in their long-term health and productivity. It's an investment that will pay off for years to come. Another fantastic use for your microbial liquid is with seedlings and transplants. Starting seeds and moving young plants into the garden are two of the most stressful times in a plant's life. They are highly vulnerable to a disease called damping off, where fungal pathogens attack the tender young stems. Drenching your seed starting mix with a very diluted solution, maybe 1 part brew to 50 parts water. Before you sow, your seeds can help to prevent this. The beneficial microbes immediately colonize the soil, leaving no room for the bad guys to get established. When it's time to transplant your seedlings into the garden, giving them a drink of the same diluted solution helps to reduce transplant shock. The growth-promoting hormones in the brew encourage rapid new root growth, helping the plant get established in its new home much faster. This gives them a powerful head start for the entire growing season. A common question is, how often should I apply this microbial liquid? The answer depends on the state of your soil. If you are starting with very poor, lifeless, or compacted soil, you will want to be more aggressive at the beginning. I would recommend a soil drench every 2 weeks for the first 2 months of the growing season. This will rapidly build up the microbial population. As your soil health improves, you can back off. For a garden with reasonably healthy organic soil, 1 application per month is more than enough to keep things thriving. You can also time your applications for key moments in a plant's life. For example, apply it when you transplant seedlings, again when plants begin to flower, and once more when they start to set fruit. This gives them a biological boost right when they need it most. Listen to your plants and observe your soil. Over time, you'll develop an intuition for when your garden needs a drink of this living elixir. Finally, let's zoom out and look at the long-term vision. This microbial liquid is not a crutch, it's a tool for transformation. The ultimate goal is to build a soil that is so full of life, so rich in organic matter, and so structurally sound that it no longer needs our constant intervention. Each time you apply this brew, you are taking a step towards that goal. Each time you add a layer of wood chip mulch or compost, you are feeding the microbes you've introduced. Over several seasons, you will transform your garden from a sterile medium into a self-sustaining living ecosystem. Your soil will hold more water, reducing your need to irrigate. It will cycle its own nutrients, reducing your need for any fertilizers. It will be full of earthworms and other beneficial life. This is the core principle of lazy or smart gardening. We are not just growing plants. We are cultivating an ecosystem. And a healthy ecosystem largely takes care of itself. So, there you have it. The secret to a thriving, abundant garden isn't a secret at all. It's the life that's been waiting right beneath our feet. We've learned that by simply combining a handful of healthy soil, a bit of sugar, and some clean water, we can brew a powerful microbial inoculant. This living liquid can revive struggling plants, supercharge healthy ones, and protect them from disease. It's a method that costs nothing, works with nature instead of against it, and builds true, long-term soil health. You are no longer just a gardener. You are a microbe farmer, a custodian of the life in your soil. This is the single most powerful shift you can make to get incredible results with less work. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. I hope you feel inspired to go out and brew your very own batch of this garden gold. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried making a compost tea or a similar brew for your garden? Share your experience, or tell me about the one plant you're most excited to try and save with this method. Leave your story in the comments below. And if you found this valuable, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more secrets to a lazy, abundant garden. Happy growing!